up? It's Breyonna. So today we're going to be testing out the Gemini palettes from Melt Cosmetics, specifically Gemini 2, because Gemini, like the OG, has been one of my ride or die holy grail palettes for many, many years. Like, if you're not new to my channel, you know, like, this was like holy grail status for me for a very, very long time. And then Melt discontinued it, and that's like a whole other thing. I was so sad about that. But they brought it back, baby, and then they brought back Gemini 2, and I had to have this one. Because this is what I want a rose palette to be. Like, it's kind of smoky, it's kind of bright, but it has those smoky greens in here that just, you know, they remind me of like the thorns and the leaves and the stems of like wilted roses. Like, when I saw this one, it was like perfection, and I had to run and get it. But as I said, the original Gemini palette has been one of my holy grail sets for many years. So my Gemini palette is not from the newest release, so just keep that in mind. But Melt did say that the formula that they just brought back is the exact same as the OG. So this one supposedly should be the exact same, but I just want to put the disclaimer out there. So today, again, we are going to be using both palettes. So on one side, we will be using the brand new Gemini 2 palette, and then on the other side, we will be using the OG. And also, off camera, I did prime my eyes using my ABH eye primer. But the first shade I want to go in with is this lighter, like, mid-tone called Sweetheart. Ooh, that is going to be pigmented. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't even... Like, there's barely any product on my brush, and like, look at how insane that is. Like, oh my gosh. Melt always kills it with the pigment though. It's seriously like so pretty. And it's kind of like a rosy shade, but it's more on the warm tone side. But you can see like a little goes a long way with this. I am gonna go in with another layer. Oh yeah, this baby is blending out like butter. Very, very easy to work with. And again, I'm taking it on this Anastasia A25. Let's see what a third layer does. Honestly, I don't feel like you would have to build this shade up. I just feel like doing that like second layer just gave me like a little bit more pigment to work with to really like even it out on this edge. So I just want to warn you on something. So if you do decide to get this palette, you don't want to tuck the mirror underneath the palette. I know not everybody does that, but with me doing YouTube, I always do that so that the glare of the mirror doesn't like reflect back at you guys. And also sometimes when I do my makeup, I do it to hold it up a little bit. But what happens is this lifts from the mirror. You see this part? It has like the melt. It's like the design around the mirror. It lifts from it. So I just want to warn you because unfortunately I just did that to this palette. I don't know why they do it. A lot of my newer ones, actually all of my newer palettes from Melt do that. Because again, my original Gemini doesn't. Like you can see, I'm going to fold it over completely. And you can see it's not lifting. I know not everybody folds their mirrors, but I just want to show you in case you're like me and you do it. But I'm going to smoke up this look using a little bit of Lovesick. Now, I don't have the Lovesick stack, so I'm not sure how similar this shade is, but ooh, that is pretty. And again, I am going with this Morphe M507. It's like a small little blending brush, popping it in that crease and then blending it up. And again, like a little goes a long way with this shade. Like, you really don't need that much pigment. Wow, that is pretty. I am gonna go in with just a little bit more, because I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen. I'm also rounding out my outer V a little bit too. Dang, that is easy to use. And again, it's kind of like a rusty kind of red. It's not like an oxblood or like a bright red. It's one of those reds that just has a little bit of brown to it, so it's kind of more on the muted side. And then I'm also going to go back in with that brush that we applied Sweetheart with no additional product on it. And I'm just going to go right around the edge of Lovesick, just to make sure we're getting a really soft blend. Because again, like this shade's just really like dark, rich, and intense. And I want to make sure there's absolutely no harsh lines. But you can see, like, it looks really smooth and pretty. And now we're going to be going in the OG, and I'm going to take any excuse I can to use this palette because I freaking love it. So we're first going to go in with the Mochi shade, which is like this yellowy, kind of like greenish kind of shade. I'm going to be taking it on a different Anastasia A25, and let me just say, this is the palette that got me into green eyeshadow and like smoky olives and all of that. Like, this palette is literally responsible for it. But do you see how pretty this shade is? And again, like this palette is older too, and it's applying just as well as it did when I first got it. I'm gonna go in with just a little bit more and blend it up. But I love these like vomity, pukey, diarrhea kind of shades. I know it sounds really like gross and weird, but they're some of my favorite colors to wear. The more icky it looks in the pan, the more I'm gonna love it. And now for a third layer. So to deepen up the crease a little bit, I'm gonna go in with Leo, which is the deepest out of the greens. I'm just gonna be taking this shade on a Morphe M456. And again, I'm popping it in that crease first, like depositing the pigment here, and then buffing the rest upwards. But like the blend that this palette gives, like it is so good. Like seriously, this palette has some of the best olives I have ever used. They're just so easy to work with and blend out. Now I will say though, with these shades being so pigmented, I'm gonna pack a little bit more on the outer V. I would actually recommend using smaller brushes, especially if you have smaller eyes. Not that they overblend, but with them being just so intense, it's a little bit easier to work with smaller brushes. So I just did a half cut crease off camera, and again, I'm just gonna go in with Lovesick on this little shader brush, and I'm packing it on the edge of that cut crease to help blend it in. You can see, like, as a red, like, this shade's really, really nice and super pigmented. Now that I'm trying to plan out like what I'm gonna do on the lid, the only gripe I have with Gemini 2 with the color story is that I wish that one of these shimmer shades was a little bit more on the lighter side. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a smoky shimmer shade, and normally I would just go in with like a single eyeshadow, a liquid shadow, or you know, just another palette in general. But if you're just gonna be using this palette, I just wish it had one lighter shimmer. You know, something maybe in like this rosy side for a little bit of contrast. But you know what, we're gonna try it out anyways, for the sake of, you know, seeing what is up. So I'm taking Schmood, which is the name of this shade, and I'm packing it in the center of my lid. Again, I'm applying it dry. It's a really nice shimmer. It's definitely more of like a wet sheen kind of vibe. It's not as sparkly as the ones in the OG Gemini palette. And I'm just taking whatever is left and feathering it into Lovesick. Damn, that's a nice shimmer though, like it's very pigmented. For some reason, I didn't think it was going to apply this brown when I first saw it in the pan, but it's definitely kind of like that burnt red brownish kind of shade. Like it's like a brown though, with like a little hint of red to it. And you can see it just has like a really cool vibe. Now I will warn you though, this shade does have some fallout, so definitely do your eyes first. You can kind of see it like right here on my face. And then to help blend it in, I'm just gonna go in with more Lovesick and pack it onto the edge. You know what I'm going to do just to help further blend things? Because I feel like Lovesick just is not deep enough to accommodate the shimmer's depth. I'm going to go in with LX Queen, which is actually the deepest shade in this palette. And this is like a purple brown kind of shade. But what I'm going to do is just take it on that same brush and pack it on the edge. Because again, I feel like that shimmer is just a little bit deeper than Lovesick, so this should help with blending. And then I'm just gonna go back in with that brush with Schmood, no additional, and then I'm just gonna lightly feather that edge. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. But for the rest of the lid, I'm just gonna go in with Bella, which is the lightest shade in the palette. Then I'm just gonna lightly pack this onto the rest of the lid using a flat shader brush. And I just kind of want to see how this shimmer blends into a matte in general. I'm just gonna go back in with whatever is left. Brush. This is definitely a very, very smoky palette. And then for the OG side, again, we're gonna go in with Leo and pack it onto the outer edge. And I'm just using that brush that we applied it with in the crease. And then to match the vibe on the lid, we're gonna go in with Goals, which is the green shimmer. And I'm just going to be, again, popping this in the center of the lid and then lightly tapping it into. So I'm just gonna take a little bit more, but if I'm honest, I think it's a lot easier to blend the gold shade into Leo rather than, you know, Schmood into Lovesick. I feel like I'm getting like a 2-tap instant blend with this side. And it could just be because the shimmer is lighter. I'm not exactly sure, but I feel like I just have like an instant like soft blend. You know, after applying Goals, I don't really see a difference with the shine factor between Schmood and Goals. Like, I think they look very similar. And I think the reason why I thought Goals was gonna be more sparkly, because in the pan it looks really sparkly. And I think it's just the tone of it. But again, I don't see a shimmer difference between the two. I think they both have like that wearable wet sheen kind of vibe. And then to match the vibe, I'm just gonna go in with Luna, which is the lightest shade in the OG Gemini. Now, I've never done this before with this palette, so I'm not too sure how it's gonna look, but you know what? We're gonna try something different. Ooh, I actually like those two together, but do you see what I mean? Like, I just like the contrast that the OG has. You know, it has a good mix of like lighter shades and deeper ones. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more, but whew, actually that looks really nice. Again, you know, sometimes when you mix a matte into a shimmer, it can look a little bit weird because you'll have like matte, shimmer, matte, and it'll just kind of look a little chunky. But these are blending in really nice. I actually really like it. So now we're gonna do the lower lash line, and I mixed Lovesick and LX Queen on this teeny tiny little brush from Colourpop. It's an E28. And I'm trying to get it as close as I can to where my lashes grow out. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of Sweetheart, that lightest shade that we used, and smoke it underneath. And again, we're doing the full-on smoky vibes, so again, we're gonna go in with Leo. Really, really close to that lash line. Actually, I need like a little bit more. I'm just using this brush from Profusion. It's an ES6. It's just a really tiny little blending brush. And then after having that down, I'm just gonna go in with Mochi on the same brush and smoke it down. I wish I could show you Winnie right now. She's flopped over and is like, girl, rub my belly. And she has like a little snaggle tooth out. Like, it is so cute. Oh, now she got up. But for the inner corner highlight, you know what, neither of these palettes have something like really light, and I do want to make sure like everything kind of is cohesive because we are doing like a two-tone look. So I'm actually just going to go in with one of my favorite highlighter palettes. This is the ABH Sugar Glow Kit, and I'm going to go in with Starburst. Now this baby applies a little bit more on the icy side, so I'm going to apply it using this pencil brush I have from Anastasia. It's a A14. I'm just saying, Melt absolutely killed it with Gemini 2. Like, I cannot get over how cool this eye look turned out. Like, I absolutely love it. Now, let me know which side is your favorite, because, I mean, like, both of them are so pretty and beautiful, but I like the OG just a little bit more. Again, I'm a sucker for green, though, so I'm gonna pick the OG, but let me know which is your fave. Now, if you told me I could only pick one out of the two and I couldn't pick both, I would say, you know what, the OG. Like, this palette just has a chokehold on me. I don't know what it is about it, but the quality, the color story, the blend, like, I just cannot get enough of this. I have well over 200 palettes in my collection, and this is a top 3 for me. Now, it's not that the Gemini 2 palette is bad. I actually really like this one, and I definitely see myself using it a ton, but, like, the smoky greens in this and the matte black, like, the matte black in this palette is so pigmented, by far one of the best matte blacks I have ever used, and, like, the smoky greens are just so pretty and pigmented, like that Leo one. Like, there is something about that shade. It is just amazing. I just, like, there's something about this palette, like, it is like the tried and true. When I want a dark green smoky eye that has a little bit of like an olivey, grungy kind of vibe to it, and I want to use a palette that I know that works, I always reach for this. Even though I absolutely love these palettes and I cannot recommend them enough, like the quality is top tier. The thing is they are a pretty penny. These are $58 each, so they're definitely up there in price. But again, I have had my OG Gemini palette for many, many, many years now, and the formula is the exact same as when I opened it. Like, it literally acts the exact same. I've had absolutely no issues with it. So even though they are a little up there in price for 10 eyeshadows, I think the formula is definitely worth checking out. Let me know if you'd be down to see another look using Gemini 2, because honestly, I really want to explore and see how these greens are, because I mean, they look so pretty in the pan, and you guys know when I see green, I just have to use them. So if you'd be down to see it, let me know. But before you go though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!